We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Mesechet Kesuvos. This is Kesuvos Daf 10b. On the previous summit, Huna Mara asked Rav Ashi, why don't we just wash the cloth that is used at that moment of first bia, and that's how we can inspect the cloth, and we'll see if there's blood on it, because again, like we said before, sometimes the blood gets covered over by other substances, like the Shechva Zera. And so he answered him, no, Giyot Shalonu Kekiba Shalahem, when we scrape it with a rock, that's the equivalent of their laundering. Rashi over here says, Giyot Be'evan Hazachuchis. They used to use like a stone that was sort of like glass. Kekibus Shalahen, it's like their laundering. Shahayu Meimeyam Yafim Lechavis, meaning he was saying that their water that they use is very good for cleaning. Oh, Samonim Yafin Hayu Lehem Lechavis, or maybe they have good detergents for it. Uvechibus Shalonu Ena Begin Meluban Achi Maguats. Now with ours, we can't do it. We can't really clean something unless we're going to use this kind of a stone. And so the Gemara says, V'yamrin Ni'avid Giyot. So if you're going to say, well, why don't we just use the stone again to clean the cloth, and we'll see if there's blood. And to that, the Gemara says, no, Ma'abrele Chumrasa. Already, if you're going to use the stone, that's going to clear away the blood as well. Rashi over here says, Me'avrele Chumrasa Shifsha Fo'evan Ma'aviras Hadam. You're going to rub the stone against it, it's going to take away the blood. And the Gemara continues, Ahuda Asa Lekame de Rabban Gamliel. There was an individual who came in front of Rabban Gamliel by Rebbe. Again, Rabban Gamliel, the son of Rebbe. Amar Lei said to him, Rebbe Ba'alti v'lo matzasi dam. Rebbe, I had relations and I didn't find any blood. Amrale, so she said to him, Rebbe Adayin Basulani. She said, no, Rebbe, I'm still a Basula, I'm still a virgin. Amar Lehen, he said to them, Heviu lishtei shvachas, bring me two maidservants. Achas Basula v'achas Ba'ula. Bring me one that's a Basula, that's a virgin, and bring me one that's a Ba'ula, one that already had relations. Heviu lo, so they brought these women to him, V'hoshivon al pi chavish al yayin, and he had them sit on top of a barrel of wine. Ba'ula reicha nodef. Now by the Ba'ula you were able to smell from her breath the wine, and Basula ein reicha nodef, but by the Basula, because she's closed off, so the smell of the wine was not in her breath. And so then after they did that experiment, Afzu, so also over here with this woman over here, who he was claiming, the husband was claiming that this wife of his was not a Basula, Hoshiva, they sat her on top of the barrel, Velohaya reicha nodef, and then the breath, the smell of her breath was not like wine, so it was clear she was a Basula. So Amar Lo, so then he said to him, Leich zechei b'mechacha, go, and you should take your acquisition. In other words, it's clear you have nothing to worry about, she's a Basula. So the Gemara says, "V'nivdok meikara begava." So why not just do this inspection immediately with her? What was the purpose of bringing the two maidservants first? And so the Gemara says, "Gemara have a shmiele." So the Gemara says, "No, Rabbi Gamliel beRebbi." So he had heard a tradition that this works, but ma'isa lo have a chazi. But he never actually saw anyone do the experiment. V'savar, so he thought, "Dilma lo kimle begava demil sashapir." Maybe he's not going to be such an expert at this to be able to run this experiment. V'lav orach aru lezil zule b'vnos Yisrael. So it's not proper derech eretz to be mezalzel in daughters of Israel that he should call this Jewish woman and do the experiment. It wouldn't be nice to her. So first he called over the maidservants, and then he did it with this girl. And the Gemara continues, there was an individual who came before Rabban Gamliel the elder. Amar Lo, he said to him, Rebbe, ba'alti v'lo matzasi dam. He said, Rebbe, I had relations, I didn't find any blood. Amar Lo, now she said to him, Rebbe, mi mishpachas dorkati ani. She said, Rebbe, I'm from the family of dorkati. She'ein lahen lo dam nida v'lo dam besulam. In our family, we don't have the blood of nida and we don't have the blood of besulam, so there's no problem here. Baduk Rabban Gamliel b'krovoseh, so Rabban Gamliel inspected her relatives as well. Umatza kidvareh, he found that it was true what she was saying. Amar Lo, so he said to him, Leich zechei b'mechacha, go take your acquisition. Asherecha shezachisa l'mishpachas dorkati. You're fortunate that you've merited to marry someone from the family of dorkati. And the Gemara says, my dorkati, what does the word dorkati mean? Dorkatu, it means the generation is truncated, meaning they're missing something. They're missing this dam nida, and they're missing the dam besulim. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Chanina says, Tanchumim shel hevel nichmo Rabban Gamliel also ish. The comfort that Rabban Gamliel gave this man was worthless. It was actually not good that she's from the family of Dorkati. He said it, Rabban Gamliel said it as if this was a good thing. It's actually a bad thing. The Tani Rabbi Chia, because Rabbi Chia taught, Kashem shasa'or yafel isa, just like the leaven is good for the dough, kach damim yafim leisha, so too, the blood is actually good for the woman. In other words, it's beneficial. If a woman sees blood, that means she'll be able to have children. V'tana mishum Rabbi Meir, and it was taught in the name of Rabbi Meir, Kalisha shadamem merubin. If a woman has a lot of blood, banem merubin, she'll have a lot of children. Itmar, and it was learned, Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar, Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba said, Zechei b'mechacho Amar le, that he said to him, take your acquisition, it's a merit, it's a good thing that she comes from this family. But there's another version of the story. Rabbi Yossi bar Avin Amar, Rabbi Yossi bar Avin says, Nischaye b'mechacho Amar le. No, he actually said to him, Leal said, what you've purchased here is not something good. Take your purchase, but it's something that's going to be a bad thing for you. And the Gemara says, B'shalom l'mad Amar nischayev. I understand, according to the one who says nischayev b'mechacha, that it's a negative. Hainu de Rabbi Chanina. That's exactly what Rabbi Chanina said, that the fact that she doesn't see blood is actually a bad thing. And l'mad Amar zechei, but the one who says take it and it's a merit, it's a good thing. Mai zechusa. So again, what's good from coming from this family? And the Gemara answers, "The lo asili de safek nida." No, there's a good aspect regardless, because you're never going to come into a situation of a safek nida because she never sees blood. And the Gemara continues, "Ahu dasal kame de Rebbe." There was an individual who came before Rebbe. Amar Lei said to him, Rebbe, Ba'alti v'lo matzasi dam. He said, I had relations and I didn't find blood. Amar Lo, she said to him, Rebbe adayin basula, you see. She said, Rebbe, I was still a basula at the time. Ushnei bat sores have, and it was actually at the time of famine, that's why there was no blood. So Ra Rebbe, now Rebbe saw shepneim shechorim, that their faces were black. So Tziva Alei, and so he instructed the following: V'echnisam lemerchatz, v'achilom v'hishkom. He said, what you should do is bring them into a bathhouse, give them food, give them drink. V'echnisam lecheder. Then he had them go into a room. Ba'alu matzah dam. Then he had relations with her, and indeed he found blood. Amar Lo, so he said to him, Lech zechei b'mechacha, go and merit in your acquisition. And Kari Rebbe Aleim, and Rebbe called about them. He quoted the pasuk, and the pasuk says, Safer ora malatzmam yavesh hayakaetz. The idea of the pasuk being that they're very dried out, and their skin is upon their bones like wood, and that was the idea over here. Because of the famine, that's what affected them. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Besula ksubasa masayim ve'almona mana, like we said earlier. For a besula, her ksuba is 200 dinar, and for an almana it's 100. Besula almana grusha v'chalutza min ha'erisin. Let's say you have a woman who's a virgin, and then she's either widowed or divorced, or she's a chalutza, but it was from the erisin, it was only from the betrothal. She never actually married the individual, so you can assume she's still a besula, ksubas and masayim, and therefore if she marries a second husband, so the ksuba is still going to be 200. V'yesh len tainas besulam, and the husband does have a claim. If he finds her not to be a besula, he will have a claim against her. Rashi over here explains, besula almana grusha bein besula she almana grusha chalutza min ha'erisin. Whether she's a besula who was an almana or a grusha or chalutza from the stage of erisin, the chazra v'nisis, and then she goes and she gets married again. Ksubasa min hasheni masayim. Her ksuba from the second husband is also going to be 200. Shari v'cheskas besula he nisislo, because he's marrying her on the assumption that she's a besula. V'yesh lam tainas besulam im lo matza beis besula of the kol ksubasa. If it's not found in the second marriage that she's a besula, she'll lose the whole ksuba. The mekach tos hilo, that's going to be considered a mekach tos, because again he had the right to assume that she would be a besula. And the Gemara says, "My almana." So where does the word almana come from? Amar Rav Chana Begadator, Rav Chana from Baghdad said, "Almana al shem mana." The reason why she's called an almana is because she's entitled in her ksuba to a mana, again to the 100 dinar. The Gemara says, "Almana mino erisin ma'ikol amem." But what are you going to say about a widow from betrothal? Meaning, like we said, if a woman is an almana from erisin and then she marries a second man, she's entitled to 200. So why is she called an almana? And so the Gemara says, "Aidi daha kari la almana." Since the first one is called an almana, hanami kari la almana. So we call the almana mino erisin an almana as well. And the Gemara says, Almana dechsiva b'oraisa ma'ikol amemer. But what are you going to do with the word almana when it's written in the Torah? Because over there, the idea that an almana gets 100 for the ksuba, that wasn't at the time of the Torah. And so the Gemara says, Da'asidin rabbanan de misakni la'almana. No, the Torah knew that in the future, the rabbanan would one day institute that an almana gets a mana, and that's why she's called an almana. And the Gemara says, Umi chasav kra la'asid. But one second, is a pasuk written based on future events? And the Gemara says, yes, techsiv, because the pasuk says, V'shem hanar hashlishi chidekel, hu aholech kidmas ashur. This is in Bereshis, by the creation. It says that the third river was called Chidekel, and it went by Ashur. V'taner Rav Yosef, and Rav Yosef taught Ashur zu Slika, that Ashur refers to the city of Slika. And so the Gemara says, when we have it, did that city exist yet at the time of creation? Eladasid, of course not. Rather, it means to say that in the future, that's when it would be called. And so therefore, that's this Haholech Kidmas Ashur. It's referring to an event in the future. Hachanami de'asida. So to over here, the word almana, when used in the Torah, is based on future events. And the Gemara continues, V'yomer Rav Chana Begadeta, and again Rav Chana from Baghdad said, Motor mashke marveu mezavelu ma'adinu mamshich, that when it comes to rain, it irrigates the land, it also fertilizes the land, and it also helps the peiros, the fruits themselves, it allows them to reproduce. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava bar Rabbi Yishmael. So Rava bar Rabbi Yishmael says, V'temer Rav Yemer bar Shalmiya. Some say it's Rav Yemer bar Shalmiya that says, Micro, where do we see this in the pasuk? Telamer Rave Nachas Gedudeh B'Ravivim Temogagna Tzimcha Simcha Tevarich, and this we're going to see in Rashi, how he explains. Rashi over here says, Matar v'lo me'osios darashachi elel from Sfari. He's just saying this logically. It means to say, Mizavel es haaretz, not only does it water the land, it also fertilizes the land. Ma'ade nosen edna v'ziv b'peiros, it gives a certain shine to the fruit to allow them to produce. To lameh shel Eretz Yisrael. So now, going on this pasuk, the pasuk says, the furrows of Eretz Yisrael, Rave nachas kedudek asher berevivim temogagna, and Rashi explains, Rave harei mashku marva. The word Rave is referring to the fact that it irrigates and it saturates. Temogagna harei mizavel, the word temogagna, that refers to fertilizing, and ma'adin, it means to say, ma'adin u'mamshech es ha'peiros nafka mit simcha tevarich. The part of the pasuk that says simcha tevarich, that refers to the fact that it gives a certain shine to the fruits. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Elazar says, Mizbeach, when it comes to the Mizbeach, and this is learned a little from the word Mizbeach, Meziach, Umezin. Rashi says originally, Meziach, what does that mean? Kasal Kadaitach, right now we think Meziach means Meziach Avonos, the removal of sins. So the Mizbeach, it's Meziach, it removes the sins, and again it said Mezin or Mazin, Bezuchus HaKarbonos Olam Nizon. It means to say that the world is sustained because of the merit of the Karbonos, HaKarbonos Boin Min HaMazon V'Garmin Lo Bracha. The Karbonos come from Mazon, and they also create this bracha. So that's Mizbeach, Meziach, Umazin, Mechabev Umechaper, and it creates love, and it creates atonement. Rashi says, Mechabev es Yisrael al Aviyam, it creates a certain love between Klal Yisrael and their father, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and again, Mechaper creates an atonement. And the Gemara says, Hainu mechaper, hainu meziach. Isn't mechaper and meziach the same thing? It means to say atonement or removal of sins. And the Gemara says, no, not exactly. Meziach gezeros. Meziach refers to the removal of decrees. Rashi says, Meziach gezeros ros me'al Yisrael. It's the removal of bad decrees from Klal Yisrael or mechaper. But when we say mechaper, it means avonos. It means the atonement of sins. And the Gemara continues, V'yomer Rav Chana begadata, and Rav Chana from Baghdad says as follows, Tamri, when it comes to dates, Meshachnon, Mesavon, Meshalshalon, Ma'ashron, V'lo Mefankon. And Rashi over here explains, Meshachnon means mechamos, dates warm the person. Meshalshalon means shilshal, means they loosen the bowels. Me'ashron means machzikos koach, they give the person strength. Kamoishru chamutz. V'lo mefankon, and they're not mefankon, means they don't create that the person is delicate, means to say, Einon marbos istanya ala lev, they don't make the heart, that it's delicate, they don't make it weak. V'kulon l'shavach, all of these statements, when it comes to the dates, they're all considered praiseworthy. Meshachnon, mesavon also means satisfying, that's mesavon, and then again, Shalshal, loosening the bowels, Ma'ashron, giving strength, V'lo mefankan, they don't make one delicate. These are all praises of Tamri, of dates. Amar Rav, and Rav says, Achal tomorrow, if somebody eats dates, Al Yoreh, he shouldn't paskin halacha. As Rashi says, Al Yoreh, Shum Horah, if he shatardos daito keshikar, because it intoxicates the person, so therefore the person should not issue halachic rulings. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have the following question. Tamarim shachris v'arvis yafos, when it comes to dates, in the morning and the evening they're good. B'mincha ros, in the afternoon they're bad. Batzarayim in kamosan, and at noon there's nothing like them, they're excellent at noon. Umevadlos shlosha devarim, and they nullify three things: machshavara, bad thoughts; v'chole meyayim, and sickness in the intestines; v'tachtonios, and hemorrhoids. And so you see all these good things about dates. So why shouldn't you be able to issue halachic rulings? And the Gemara says, "Mi amrina delo malu." Did we say that they're not beneficial? Aluye malu, of course they're beneficial. Ulefishaita tarda, but according at the time you eat them, they create intoxication, distraction. Midi dehave achamra, similar to what we find by wine. And Rashi over here says, Shachris v'arvis yafos, in the morning and in the evening the dates are good. Klala demil salachar achila yafos. Rashi explains, the general rule is, after you've eaten they're good. Shacharis darchan shel b'nei adam b'pas shacharis. The morning people usually eat some bread, so it's good at that time. Kidamar b'makabel, like we say in b'matzia. Arvis lachar achila, also in the evening you're going to be eating them after you eat, so it's good. But b'mincha ros, but let's say at mincha time, the afternoon, it's bad. Shein kodem achila, that's already before the time of eating. Lachar shein asat tzaraim, after the person has slept in the afternoon. But tzaraim, now at noontime, la'achar su'uda, right after the meal, sha'achal v'sava, that he eats, and he's satisfied, in kamosim, there's nothing like them. V'tovos yoser me'arvis, that's even better than the evening. Why? L'fi she'eno mu'ukav b'yomi leilach l'sados l'beis hakisei b'chol eisha yirtza, because during the day, the person is not held back. Anytime he wants, he can go to the fields to go to the bathroom, so that's the best time for the dates. Aval b'layla torah chulo, but already at night, it's already a tircha to go to the bathroom, and so therefore it's more of a concern in such a situation. And Rashi over here continues, mivatlos machshava ra. They nullify, they take away a person's bad thoughts. Daiga, meaning all of his worries. Lefisha mesamchos es alev, because they make the heart happy. Betzarayim shasora v'tzaholahi, and the time of noon, that's a time of light, a time of rejoicing. So again, that's something, these are all good things, and the Gemara ended up saying, you're right, they have a lot of benefits, but still they do create some intoxication, and therefore you should not have halachic rulings. The Amar Mar, like the master said, Hashos revius yain al yor. If somebody drinks a revius of wine, he should not issue a halachic ruling. And the Gemara continues, Viboy same, if you want, I could say another answer. Lokash, it's not difficult. Hamakame nama. If you have them before bread, that's going to be bad. Halavasar nama, but if you have it after bread, like Rashi said before, if it's after food, then already it's going to be beneficial. So that explains why you cannot have halachic rulings. That's if you have it before the bread, but if it's after the bread, then it's positive. And the Gemara continues, the Amar Abaya, because Abaya said, Amrali aim, my mother said to me, Tamre, mekame naham, if you have dates before bread, ki nargala dikula, that's like an axe to a palm tree, it's a bad thing. Ba'asar nama, but if you have the dates after bread, ki avra ladasha, that's like a bolt to a door. Rashi says, ki avra ladasha machzikos es haguf, it makes the person strong. Ki briach es adel, it's like the bolt strengthens the door, so then it's going to be a good thing. And the Gemara continues, desha, the word desha means a door. Why does the word desha mean a door? Amar Rava says, derech sham, it means the way is through there, that's why it's called a desha. Darga, why is a step called a darga? Amar Rava says, derech gag, it means the way to the roof. Puria, why is a bed called a puria? Amar Papa says, sheparin v'ravin aleh, because people are fruitful and they multiply on the bed. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video, on Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph.